And although you kind of know that this might happen, you don't really think about it very much. Not least of all because the monarchy is about continuity. But I think for my brother, this is something he's been waiting for.
For decades, Queen Elizabeth's private Sapphire collection remained one of the monarchy's most guarded secrets, rare jewels whispered about but rarely seen. But now, shocking reports suggest Princess Anne has stepped in behind palace walls, demanding that Camilla's daughter return pieces allegedly tied to the late Queen's hidden legacy. Why would Anne intervene so forcefully, and what sparked this tense royal confrontation? As insiders hint at growing divisions, the truth emerging from the palace is far more dramatic than anyone expected, and it could expose a bitter struggle over loyalty, inheritance, and royal power itself. But do you think Camilla's daughter would be bold enough to use Queen Elizabeth's jewelry? Would she have claimed ownership if Anne hadn't collected it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. To help us create more videos and uncover the latest royal drama, please subscribe. Sapphire Legacy Royal Rift. For many decades, the British royal family has worked very hard to present a public image of calm dignity, unity, and deep tradition. From the outside, everything often looks polished and controlled. Shining crowns, carefully planned ceremonies, formal speeches, and well-rehearsed public appearances. Every detail seems to reflect stability and continuity. But behind this carefully built picture, many royal watchers believe there is another world that is far less calm. It is said to be a place filled with quiet tensions, unspoken disagreements, and long-standing rivalries over influence, respect, and the protection of family legacy. In this world, nothing is truly random. Even the smallest gesture can carry meaning. Even a piece of jewelry passed down through generations can become more than decoration. It can become a symbol of identity, power, and history. And sometimes, symbols like these are believed to spark deep disagreements within palace circles. Now, a new and dramatic claim has begun to circulate, drawing intense attention. Reports and royal whispers suggest that a controversy has emerged around one of Queen Elizabeth II's most treasured collections, her famous sapphire jewels. These pieces are said to hold not only great financial value, but also deep emotional and historical importance tied to the late Queen herself. According to growing but still unverified reports, Princess Anne is said to be deeply concerned over an alleged dispute involving Queen Camilla's daughter, Laura Lopes. At the center of the controversy are several priceless sapphire pieces believed to carry strong royal and historical importance. Insiders claim worries began after whispers emerged that some of these treasured jewels may have quietly left official royal protection and entered private hands. This has sparked serious questions about their safety, their future, and whether anyone outside the royal family should even possess them. Buckingham Palace, however, has remained completely silent. No official statement has been released to confirm or dismiss the claims, leaving the public with more questions than answers. That silence has only intensified the mystery, encouraging fresh speculation and dramatic theories. In royal affairs, uncertainty often creates the perfect environment for rumors to spread, and this latest controversy appears to be doing exactly that. Those close to the situation insist that this is not simply about wealth or luxury items. Instead, they describe it as something far deeper, a struggle over memory, inheritance, and the responsibility of protecting a royal legacy. At its heart, it is about who gets to safeguard the history of the monarchy and how that history should be preserved for future generations. Standing at the center of this unfolding story is Princess Anne. Known for her strong sense of duty, direct nature, and lifelong loyalty to her family's heritage, she is portrayed as someone deeply committed to protecting her mother's legacy without compromise. Whether these claims are ever confirmed or not, the story continues to spark debate, fascination, and renewed attention on the hidden complexities of royal life. What makes the sapphire so special that it has become a topic of debate? How has it been able to stir so much controversy? Let's delve into the details of the sapphires that became a queen's identity. The Queen's Sapphire Legacy. To truly understand why this controversy has stirred such strong emotions, one must first appreciate the deep meaning behind Queen Elizabeth's sapphire collection. These were never just ordinary royal ornaments worn for beauty or status. They were closely tied to the most personal and defining moments of her life, almost like silent witnesses to her journey as a daughter, a wife, and a queen. The story of the Sapphire Suite begins in 1947, a year filled with hope and change. On her wedding day, King George VI gave his daughter, Princess Elizabeth, a remarkable gift: a set of sapphire jewels. It included a necklace, a pair of earrings, and a brooch. But beyond their shine, the gift carried deep emotion. It was a father's loving blessing as his daughter stepped into marriage, unaware that she would soon carry the weight of an entire kingdom. As the years passed, Queen Elizabeth did not leave the collection untouched. She added to it in her own quiet but meaningful way, most famously with the Belgian sapphire tiara. Unlike many royal jewels that simply pass from one generation to another, this tiara was personally bought by the Queen herself. She worked with its design, reshaping it and giving it a new identity. In doing so, she turned it into something that reflected her own taste, discipline, and sense of duty. Whenever she wore these sapphires in public, they spoke without words. To the world, they represented more than elegance. They symbolized stability during uncertain times, strength in leadership, and a sense of continuity in a rapidly changing world. Over decades, the jewels became part of her signature image, appearing at state visits, diplomatic gatherings, and historic royal occasions that shaped modern Britain. One unforgettable moment came in 2017 during her Sapphire Jubilee, marking 65 years on the throne. In the official portrait released for the occasion, she wore the full sapphire set. The image looked powerful and deeply symbolic, showing an enduring monarch surrounded by signs of sacrifice, duty, and lifelong service. These sapphires were not just decorations, but carried history, memory, and emotion, telling the quiet story of a reign that shaped an era. For many people, they represent more than royal jewels. They reflect a life of duty, resilience, and steady leadership that inspired admiration across generations, leaving behind a legacy that still feels alive today in public memory and historical record around the world and beyond. What brings Camilla into the scene? Did she inherit the sapphires from the late Queen Elizabeth? Let's dive into the details of the Queen's jewel legacy. Camilla's sapphire royal symbolism tensions. When Queen Elizabeth II passed away in September 2022, it marked the end of a long and historic era that had shaped not only the United Kingdom, but also much of the world's modern royal identity. People across nations mourned her loss, reflecting on decades of service, tradition, and stability. However, inside Buckingham Palace and other royal residences, life did not pause. Instead, a period of quiet adjustment began immediately, as questions about succession, symbolism, inheritance, and the future image of the monarchy came into sharper focus behind closed doors. It was during this delicate period that Queen Camilla was reported to have started wearing some of Queen Elizabeth's most well-known sapphire jewelry pieces. Only a few months after the Queen's passing, she appeared in public wearing the Belgian sapphire tiara at a formal state banquet. Soon after, she was seen again wearing the same tiara at another major royal event, which drew strong public attention and discussion. Officials described these appearances as a gesture of respect and continuity, suggesting she was honoring the legacy of Queen Elizabeth while symbolizing stability within the modern royal household in a careful transition. But inside royal circles, not everyone reportedly saw it that way. Critics believed that Camilla's use of the sapphire jewels carried a deeper symbolic message. By stepping into the same pieces of jewelry so soon after the Queen's passing, she appeared to some observers to be quietly placing herself into the visual role once strongly associated with Queen Elizabeth herself. The symbolism became even stronger when Camilla paired the sapphire tiara with historically significant diamond jewelry pieces that had long been linked to royal prestige, authority, and influence. To many royal watchers, the overall image looked deliberate, carefully styled, and highly calculated. Some insiders reportedly believed that Camilla was not simply wearing royal jewels, but was instead symbolically stepping into a larger role within royal history itself, as if positioning herself within the long narrative of the monarchy. According to these views, the meaning went beyond fashion or tradition and touched on identity and legacy. This interpretation is what many said caused quiet tension to begin rising behind palace doors. In the weeks and months that followed, discussions around royal symbolism only grew more intense among commentators and observers of the monarchy. Every public appearance, every piece of jewelry, and every ceremonial detail was examined closely for meaning. While official statements continued to emphasize respect, tradition, and continuity within the royal family, public interpretation often moved in many different directions. For some, it was simply the natural transition of a new queen consort stepping into her role. For others, it reflected deeper shifts in image, identity, and influence within the evolving story of the modern monarchy as it continues to quietly evolve. How did the sapphires get to a private citizen? Who was that person? What relationship did she have with Camilla? Let's dig into the details of the private citizen who was caught at the center of the controversy. Hidden Sapphire Royal Controversy. Much of the public only knows Laura Lopes as Queen Camilla's daughter from her first marriage to Andrew Parker Bowles, but very little beyond that surface detail is widely understood. Unlike senior members of the royal family, Laura has chosen a quiet and independent life away from royal duties and official appearances. She is professionally involved in the art world as an art curator, building her own career based on culture, creativity, and private enterprise rather than royal status or public privilege. She does not hold any royal title, and she carries no constitutional responsibilities within the monarchy. In simple terms, even though she is closely related to Queen Camilla, she is not considered the working royal family. That difference matters greatly in how people view her role and access to royal traditions, especially matters connected to royal property and heritage. Royal jewels, in particular, are not treated like ordinary family possessions. Many of them are tied deeply to the identity of the crown itself. They are seen not just as expensive ornaments, but as historical symbols passed down through generations of monarchs. Because of this, there has always been a careful understanding about how such items are preserved, displayed, or inherited. They are usually managed within strict royal protocols rather than being freely distributed as private gifts among relatives. This is what has made recent whispers around certain sapphire pieces so sensitive and widely discussed among royal commentators. According to circulating reports and speculation, concerns were raised that some sapphire jewels once associated with Queen Elizabeth II's private collection may have become accessible within Queen Camilla's wider family environment, with Laura Lopes's name occasionally mentioned in connection with the alleged movement or presence of such items. However, it is important to note that Queen Elizabeth II's will and the exact distribution of her personal jewelry remain sealed and will not be publicly revealed for many years. This lack of transparency naturally creates a space where speculation grows and where uncertainty can easily turn into public debate. Queen Elizabeth II was known to have one of the most extensive and valuable royal jewelry collections in modern history. Her collection reportedly included hundreds of pieces such as tiaras, necklaces, brooches, rings, bracelets, and earrings. While some items were iconic and frequently seen in public, many others were rarely photographed, privately stored, or kept within royal residences like Balmoral Castle and Sandringham House, away from public view. It is this hidden and highly private world of royal jewels that fuels much of the fascination and controversy. Because when historically significant pieces, especially symbolic sapphire jewels, are believed to shift outside traditional royal custody, even indirectly, it raises questions about long-standing expectations within the monarchy. For some observers, and especially within certain royal circles, such as those associated with Princess Anne's reputation for discipline and duty, even the suggestion of informal movement of crown-linked treasures is viewed as deeply sensitive and potentially troubling. Is it right to say Laura is a member of the royal family? Does she present herself as such? Let's delve into the details of how and why Laura Lopes keeps a distance. Private ties within royal circles. Unlike senior members of the royal family who are often seen at grand state occasions, official ceremonies, and highly public royal duties, Laura Lopes has mostly chosen a much quieter path. She has preferred to stay away from the constant attention that comes with royal life. Instead of being in the spotlight, she has built a life that is more private, calm, and centered on her own family and personal work. Because of this, whenever she is seen at royal events, it often attracts attention, as it is not something people are used to. One moment that stood out was her appearance at Sandringham during Christmas celebrations. This kind of gathering is usually reserved for close members of the royal circle, so her presence naturally raised interest. It also reminded many observers of how rare it is to see her closely involved in royal traditions. The situation is even more notable because of the long and sensitive history between her family and the monarchy, which has shaped how relationships developed over the years. Reports have often suggested that Laura's link to the royal household has always come with a certain level of emotional distance and careful boundaries. This is largely connected to the complicated past involving King Charles II Frome and Queen Camilla, especially during the painful period when Charles and Diana, Princess of Wales, went through their marriage breakdown. That chapter in royal history created deep public tension and personal strain, and its effects were felt for years. As a result, Camilla's children, including Laura, were never fully absorbed into the royal institution in the same way as those born directly into the royal line. Over time, Laura has reportedly chosen to maintain her independence. Rather than stepping into a public-facing royal role, she has focused on building a stable private life, raising her family, and pursuing her own professional interests. Even when she does attend royal occasions, she is usually not placed at the center of attention or treated as a leading royal figure. Her appearances are generally low profile, handled with care, and kept away from media focus as much as possible. Still, her occasional presence at important family gatherings, including Christmas at Sandringham, suggests that relationships within the wider royal family have become more relaxed and accepting over time. While she may not be a working member of the monarchy, her place within the extended family appears acknowledged and respected. In many ways, Laura Lopes represents the careful balance the royal family continues to maintain between public duty, personal history, and private relationships that evolve quietly behind the scenes. Who helped in nipping the issue in the bud and restoring normalcy to the royal family? How did she achieve it? Let's talk about the fearless guardian of the Queen Mother's memory, Princess Anne's fierce legacy stand. To truly grasp the seriousness behind this reported royal clash, it helps to first understand who Princess Anne really is and why her reaction would carry such weight. Princess Anne has long stood apart within the British royal family as someone defined not by glamour or public image, but by discipline, duty, and sheer consistency. While many royals are often associated with charm, soft diplomacy, or careful public relations, Anne has built her identity on something far more straightforward: honesty, hard work, and an almost unshakable sense of responsibility. She is widely regarded as one of the busiest members of the royal household, often taking on engagements with little fuss and even less desire for attention. But beyond her public reputation lies something even more important: her deep and personal connection to Queen Elizabeth II. Anne was not just a daughter standing beside a monarch. She was someone who shared an exceptionally close and private bond with her mother. It is widely reported that she was present during the Queen's final hours, remaining close until the very end. Anne herself has described it as a profound honor to accompany her mother on that final journey, a moment that left a lasting emotional imprint. Since the passing of Queen Elizabeth, Anne's sense of duty appears to have grown even stronger. More than ever, she has taken on the quiet role of protector, someone deeply committed to preserving her mother's memory, dignity, and legacy in a way that feels authentic and respectful. This is especially important when it comes to royal heirlooms. For Princess Anne, jewels are never just decorative items meant for display or fashion. They are emotional symbols, carrying stories of generations before her. Many of the pieces she wears, brooches, pearls, and inherited ornaments, are not chosen for style alone, but for meaning. They represent continuity, memory, and respect for the women of the royal line who came before her. That is why reports suggesting that certain sapphire jewels linked to Queen Elizabeth may have moved into more private possession were said to have caused serious concern. In palace circles, it is whispered that Anne expressed strong disapproval to those close to Laura Lopes, making it clear that items tied so closely to the Queen's legacy should remain within official royal care, not drift into informal family ownership or private display. And anyone familiar with Princess Anne's character understands a simple truth. When she believes a matter touches on principle, tradition, or respect for her mother's legacy, she does not easily compromise or step aside. Did Queen Elizabeth's collection include much more than the known jewelries? What could her hidden collection be made of? Let's delve into the details of the hidden collection that only few people knew of its existence. Queen Elizabeth's Secret Sapphire Mystery. One of the most captivating parts of this entire royal mystery is the growing discussion surrounding Queen Elizabeth's so-called hidden sapphire collection. The phrase alone sparks curiosity, because most people imagine royal jewels as treasures that are carefully recorded, publicly displayed, and constantly monitored. In reality, however, the private jewelry world of the late Queen was far more secretive than many realized. While the famous crown jewels belong to the nation and are regularly seen during historic ceremonies, Queen Elizabeth's personal jewelry collection existed behind closed palace doors. It was a deeply private collection built over decades, filled with gifts, inherited treasures, emotional keepsakes, and rare royal pieces connected to important moments in her life. Royal historians believe the Queen owned more than 300 pieces of jewelry throughout her reign. Yet the public only became familiar with a very small number of them. Certain brooches, necklaces, and tiaras appeared during state banquets, diplomatic receptions, and royal celebrations, but many other items were rarely, if ever, seen outside palace walls. Some jewels were reportedly worn only in private settings. Others stayed locked away for years in royal vaults and personal safes. A few pieces surfaced only during highly selective occasions, known to a small circle of royal insiders. In some cases, even devoted royal watchers had little knowledge of what truly existed within the Queen's private collection. This atmosphere of secrecy created the perfect conditions for speculation after Queen Elizabeth's passing. Once the monarch who personally managed and understood the collection was gone, questions naturally began to emerge about where certain treasured items would go next. That is exactly why rumors about hidden sapphires became so fascinating to the public. The concern was not necessarily about theft or criminal wrongdoing. Instead, the deeper fear centered on something far more emotional and symbolic. Many believed that priceless sapphire pieces connected to Queen Elizabeth's personal memories and royal history may have quietly drifted into private hands without clear explanation, public transparency, or official royal oversight. For royal supporters, these jewels represented more than beauty or wealth. They carried history, family legacy, and emotional meaning. Every sapphire necklace, bracelet, or brooch could tell a story tied to a major royal event, a beloved family member, or even a deeply personal chapter in the Queen's life. This is where Princess Anne reportedly became a key figure in the unfolding tension. Known for her loyalty, discipline, and close relationship with her mother, Anne is believed to possess deep knowledge of the late Queen's private belongings and traditions. Insiders suggest she would immediately recognize if certain historic pieces suddenly vanished from expected royal circulation. According to palace whispers, that knowledge may have been what ignited the confrontation in the first place. If emotionally important sapphire pieces were no longer appearing where they were expected to be, Princess Anne may have felt a responsibility to step in, question what was happening, and protect the legacy her mother left behind. What is the bigger image in the middle of all these? Does the monarchy seem to be in control anymore? Let's dive into the details of the battle over legacy, power, and the future of the monarchy. The battle for royal legacy. At the center of this unfolding royal drama lies something far greater than a collection of glittering sapphires. The jewels themselves are only the visible surface of a much deeper and more emotional battle, one tied to legacy, identity, tradition, and the future direction of the British monarchy after the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. For more than 70 years, Queen Elizabeth stood as a powerful symbol of stability, duty, and continuity. Across changing generations, political shifts, family scandals, and public pressures, she remained the unshakable face of the crown. Over time, even the jewels she wore became deeply connected to that image. The sapphires, brooches, tiaras, and necklaces were never seen as ordinary accessories. They became silent witnesses to history itself. Every public appearance, every state banquet, and every royal ceremony added more meaning to those treasured pieces. Because of this, control over such royal items is not viewed as a simple family matter. To many within royal circles, whoever protects and carries these symbols also helps shape how future generations will remember Queen Elizabeth's reign. That is why emotions surrounding the disputed sapphire collection have reportedly become so intense behind palace walls. Princess Anne is said to hold especially strong feelings about preserving her mother's legacy exactly as she believes it was intended. According to reports, Anne sees these historic treasures as belonging firmly within the core institution of the monarchy and closely tied to the direct royal line. Supporters of her position argue that these jewels should continue passing through future senior royals, rather than gradually moving into the hands of more distant or untitled family members. Many royal watchers point to reports surrounding Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her daughter, Princess Charlotte of Wales. There is growing belief that Catherine hopes important royal heirlooms will one day be inherited by Charlotte, ensuring the pieces remain linked to future generations of monarchs. To traditionalists, this path protects both the symbolism and historical importance of the jewels. But allowing such treasured items to drift away from the monarchy's central line would represent a major break from royal tradition. For critics, it could weaken the connection between the crown and the symbols that have long defined it. That is why the alleged confrontation reportedly carries such emotional weight. Although reports suggest that some disputed sapphire pieces may now be returning to official royal control, the deeper wounds within the family may not heal so easily. Tensions between Princess Anne and individuals connected to Queen Camilla's inner circle are said to have grown increasingly severe. Yet those close to Anne believe she is willing to accept strained relationships if it means protecting what she sees as her mother's memory and the dignity of the crown. In her eyes, this battle is not truly about expensive jewels. It is about loyalty, inheritance, royal authority, and ultimately, who has the right to shape the story of the monarchy after Queen Elizabeth II. As long as Princess Anne remains determined, many believe she will continue fighting fiercely to keep those symbols exactly where she believes they belong, at the very heart of the crown. So, what do you think about the position of Laura Lopes in the royal family? Do you think she deserves any royal title? We'd love to hear your opinions in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe.